what's this? 3 months into the new year and this lazy geezer's got another challenge video out? Can't believe it. Well, you'd better get your minds ready because this run's about to screw 'em harder than my chat does in a pay-to-drink Metropod run. For any of you who may have forgotten, my name is the Breph and I am still alive and knocking about making these sorts of videos. For some reason I woke up with a very masochistic feel and decided that I was going to try and beat Pokémon Emerald using only a Taillow. Given that this game kicks off with a rock type gym, there's an electric one down the line and the Elite Four contains an ice type member, it's not exactly going to be the easiest run in the world for us, is it? On top of that, in Gen 3, Taillow is not exactly known for having the best stats in the game, nor is it known for having the best move pool in the game. And that led me to ask another question. Alongside all of the other usual rules, you know, Taillow only in battle, no items, that sort of thing, I've also decided that I'm not allowed to use TMs either. I want to see if Taillow's lousy ass moveset can do this game a new one. Because let's be honest, we're 3 months into the year and this is the first one I've done, so it's either going to do the game a new one or it's going to do me a new one. But either way, someone is getting themselves a new arsehole torn today. If anyone's even remotely interested, and let's be honest, I don't think anyone is, but I'll leave a little explanation at the end of the video as to why it's been so long since I've been able to sit down and actually focus on the recording. It's not to do with any of my previous problems, it's just... wait to the end. We kick the game off and choose the male character, because I clicked too fast to choose otherwise, and we name him Breph, because I don't have a very good track record with H's recently, and as art imitates life, this one is also no longer around. You guys all know what goes on from here. We run into our neighbour's house upstairs to see some disgustingly vile scene, although it was a bit captivating. Once we get our senses back, we do leave that building and make our way up north, where we get to see another disgusting scene. What is it about this game that is ruining my perfectly innocent mind? Never mind, we rummage around in the professor's sack and he loves it, you just know he does, and we pull out a little ball containing our Taillow. We then had the ridiculously hard task of deciding what to nickname it. I came to the conclusion that Taillow is a small, cute bird, pretty useless, but good only for those flappy things it has on its person that it can take flight if it shakes too quickly. But as I say, on the whole, pretty much useless. Small, useless. That sounds like most of the Kardashians to me, so we'll name this one Courtney. From there, the next mandatory fight is the one against May, and her mudkip rams itself hard into us a few times over, but ultimately that thing doesn't have the stamina to finish us off. But we do get a good little 69 out of it, so it ain't all bad. Nice. One thing I've always found fascinating about these games is the coding that they have for certain NPCs. So, for example, in this game, if we go into Petalburg, into the Poké Center and speak to this random bird, she definitely should have gone to Specsavers, because she thinks we have a tall chick in our party. And, yeah, move on. One thing I have always wanted to do though is randomise the catching tutorial and see whether or not that affects us down the line. So this time round we've done just that, and you know what, it's my save file, I'll do what I want. If you don't like it, leave an angry comment down below, because as a certain someone once said that's been overplayed to Shittenbeck by now, comments are good for the YouTube algorithm, and I've taken such a break, I need all the help I can get, so please, spam the comments, I beg you. Wally goes into the fight to catch his Abra, who just like his mum doesn't really love him enough to stay around, so off that thing went and he was left without a Pokemon. Guess we just have to wait till Moorville to find out whether or not this thing actually fights with a Ralts or with an Abra now. But before we get to that point, we have to go and fight Roxanne. At level 19, Taillow learnt Double Team, and that meant that we were in a better position to fight this gym, but I still didn't think we were that strong. I mean, we got no defensive stats at all. If a rock type move is the dreaded coronavirus, then Taillow is the open borders of the European Union. It's just gonna absolutely spread through and decimate us. But I knew that unlike the vaccines that are supposed to be going to Australia, if we wanted to come through the European Union and come out to the other side, we just needed to be able to brute force our way through, and that meant going a couple of levels over that mark. So we head into the gym and we realise very quickly that Roxanne did indeed have to put her red light back on because her OnlyFans wasn't bringing in enough money. But she found she grew tired of being the reason for big rocks being cracked all day every day. Didn't stop her from using that power against us though, did it? No. I heavily relied on cheese here because if there's two things that go together, it's cheese and cracked rocks. First badge down and it's looking alright. Only a little bit of pain and many resets. Leaving the gym, someone runs off with this man's briefcase, probably containing his newly purchased marital aids or something, because all he would say is that they were his goods. To be fair to him though, I think I'd also call them goods if I didn't possess a schlong good enough to please my wife, but that is neither here nor there because I don't have a wife, and I certainly wouldn't let anyone steal my briefcase full of marital aids. Those remain firmly under the bed. You all know what happens from there. We dive into a tunnel, we knock out a dog, and we make our way to Dewford on the back of Epstein's yacht. Once we get there, I decide I'm going to have no issues against Brawley, and just to get him out of the way. So we challenge the gym, and it's 1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shot, and you are done, my son. Brawley's fighting types fell to our little flappy creature, and we ultimately get to move on into another cave to go and meet Stephen. Stephen gives us a really good TM, one that I actually considered having on my moveset, apart from the fact that I decided early on that we're not using any of them. I'm sure that decision won't come back to bite me on the arse at all, will it? Well, the next thing to do is to head to Slateport, where we dive into the museum and meet Captain Stern for the first time. We hand over the briefcase full of marital aids and get jumped by a couple of people trying to steal them. What is it with people in this game and their obsession with a briefcase full of I can't say that word. You all know what you're looking at. But the point is, after defeating them, their boss comes in and calls them all simps. So he's not interested in the briefcase. Finally, a normal person. Speaking of simps, if you would like to get your hand on the Brephish Empire simp card, then there is a little join button down below. Of course, nobody ever has to do that. But if you'd like to support the channel in that way and get access to those emotes, and the new ones that will be going up in the next few days, then there is that button. While you're there, smack the like button on this video, leave a comment for the algorithm, as I said earlier, all that crap, and if you'd even like to, hit that red subscribe button and maybe we can hit 3k by the end of this year. Right, shameless plug put back in that briefcase, we move on to challenge May. I say challenge, it really wasn't, we just smack her aside, and then we make our way into Moorville as we should. And this is where it's crunch time. Does Wally have a Ralts? Does Wally have an Abra? And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it looks like he's stuck with that Ralts, and it's pretty simple for us, we just hit it and move on. The electric type gym causes me a world of pain. A world of pain is not even an exaggeration. Believe me, I really wish it was, but I just can't lie to you all, it was pretty bad. Double team essentially doesn't help us here because everyone's got shockwave, which can never miss. So we essentially need to brute force our way through this, which is my kind of gameplay. You might be wondering why I picked level 34 to do this, and it's purely because I tried it at level 33 and couldn't do it. There really is a strict systematic system to my leveling up, and I've said the word system so many times it's probably going to cause your ocular systems to shut down and your audiological systems to cave in. And if I say the word system anymore, I'm going to be cancelled by YouTube because that system is so corrupt that they couldn't take the word system being used this many times. System. The point is, we set up focus energy and we got some lucky crits and we managed to move on past the electric type gym, and I think things are going to be a little bit more smooth sailing from here on in. Because I'm a dirty cheat and I've acted in some HM slaves, I don't really care if you don't like it, that's what I'm doing now. But because of that decision I've made on the way up north to move on with the game, as you may say, this fat bastard decides he's going to park his arse right in front of one of the rocks that we have to crack and never move. Yeah, because we didn't pick up the actual HM for Rock Smash, this guy is obnoxiously going to stand there forever. But that's fine, because I'm going to leave him there. I have stuff to do. That stuff includes heading up to Meteor Falls to watch the most pathetic cutscene, heading down the front, then beating off a knob, and making my way up to the top of Mount Chimney, where we get to fight a different kind of knob in Maxi. First time round, and I realised that this is where Mighty Annas are going to cause me a problem, because I set up my double teams and the like, only to have him use Raw and bring out one of my HM slaves. I decide to persevere and I swap back in and promptly win the fight, but realised that shouldn't count because we did lose our Intimidate attack drop, which meant it was back to the drawing board for me, and I actually ended up resetting a couple of times before I realised I could just brute force my way through this fight. But it doesn't necessarily matter because we win and we make our way down to fight Flannery. I got a little bit cocky, a little bit overconfident in this fight, and I decided I could brute force it as well, and it was going fine up until we faced that Torkoal, and one overheat just shredded us. So I thought, screw it, back to the cheese system. Double team all the way up, focus energy for that crit luck, and then just wail away with Aerial Ace. Doesn't matter whether it's not very effective or whether it's super effective, there's nothing immune to flying type moves in these games, so that's probably the best strategy for us. That's only really highlighted in the next fight we have to do against Norman, but I do have to have a little proviso here because it really annoys me. Listen here, there's only room for one daddy on this channel, and ladies, I'm right here. As a result, we do have to gently and humanely kill off Norman and his entire team of little rodents. Bit like how my sister nearly killed her hamster the other day by dropping it from 4 feet because she's a muppet, and so is Norman because he thought he could beat us, and he was so surprised when he lost, but he did lose, and it really wasn't that difficult. Neither was the journey over to the Weather Institute, to be honest with you, or the fights inside, but at the end of it we are given a cast form, a beautiful little cast form. I give it the nickname of Cast Cuck, and I move on. Before we can get to the point of the game where I've scripted a line that may indeed get me cancelled, bring it on, I dare you. We have to fight May. A team's just a joke, ladies and gentlemen, at this point. Just a pure and utter joke. So easy. Why is it so easy at this point in the game to fight her? It's the last mandatory fight we have to have with her, and they don't even make it a challenge. It's just, get out of the way. It's so annoying. But anyway, we have reached that part of the game. We have to go in and fight Madame Le Flaps. Oh yes, the queen of the flaps, the mistress of the wings, the controller of birds, pun intended, Winona. And to be honest, the flying type gym didn't really worry me. Taillow levels up fast and the strategy is just so overpowered that nothing really poses a threat to us anymore. Our useless little flapper managed to win us the badge with ease. Guess it's no major secret how the game goes from here. We make our way up to Mount Pyre where Archie gives us a lesson in pulling out, the likes of which your dad needs to take note of because the failed cum shot that is you is still walking around. And then we got to head down into the middle of a volcano because of course we do, where we get to see Maxie exploding his big blue ball all over Groudon, causing it to run away in fear, and then we have to fight him. I cannot tell you enough how much of a I can't even bear myself. I'm hashtag Breff's a pleb. Let's bring that back because if it fits anywhere, it fits here. Because I kept getting outsped by Crobat, and I didn't understand why. Despite the fact that Crobat is infinitely faster than us, and I knew that in the back of my head, but it doesn't matter. And I kept losing. I kept dying. I kept failing. Courtney kept taking a pounding. I'm not even going to lie, I think it was on the 15th reset where I was like, how am I going to need to go and get more levels for this? And then I saw that I had quick attack in my moveset. Just let that sink in. We had a priority move the whole time, but I was so focused on just clicking buttons and listening to Phil Collins that I didn't notice it. Oh my days. With double teams set up and focus energy on the field, we get the luck that we need. And thanks to that priority move that we don't mention because painfully embarrassed about that one, we do get to move into Slateport where, you all know what's coming. And plot twist, it's me. It's me attending an interview of Captain Stearns. Good save, Breph. Good save. This guy's such a pillock he let his submarine get stolen while it was underwater. Don't ask me why, I will still never get my head around that one. But we do stand in front of him and whisper the famous line, "I'm the captain now." One day you'll all get bored of that and I won't have to do it anymore. Just hoping. Or the inverse will happen and you'll beg me for an "I'm the captain" emote. Never mind. The next step on our journey is to head to Lily Cove into the hideout where we collect the Master Ball. Yes, I turned on the walk through walls cheat to get through this because I hate doing the bloody platform thing. No, I don't care. If you don't like it, leave a comment. Again, I couldn't give a rat's arse. It's my playthrough and I did it. What are you going to do about it? I've already done it. Never mind that, because the next step is to go to Tate and Liza's gym, and I am not ready for this. See, the problem is we got no special defense, we got no physical defense, we've just got no defense. I do now have the King's Rock, which will be my held item of choice for the remainder of this playthrough. The first thing we have to do is waste that Master Ball. Oh yes, I'm doing that again. Unfortunately, I didn't pick up the old rod, so it can't be with a Magikarp or something. But I do go and pick up the Super Rod, and the first thing I do is fish up a female Sharpedo, and my eyes were bulging out of my head at this point as I threw that guaranteed catch ball, because I know just what to call it. Earlier in this playthrough I said we'd been on Epstein's yacht, so it makes absolutely no surprise to anyone that I named this female Sharpedo Ghislaine. Though it's not like she's going to see it, she's rotting behind bars at the moment. There are a few reasons why this fight's just brutal through and through, and mainly because it's a double battle, but also because Taillow's got no special defense, and this is the Psychic type gym. I first tried several times, mind you, at level 62, thinking that we'd gained enough levels, but we just hadn't. The main problem is getting those double teams set up, and my god, they are essential for this one, because otherwise I don't even want to think about what crazy level we may have needed to grind to. Having realised that level 62 is not going to work for me, I do the grinding up to the appropriate level of 69, because of course I did. And ladies, I'm totally up for that. I'm very lonely. Quarantine is a lonely place. Ironically, I kicked this off at that level just to get some footage of me trying it at level 69. I didn't actually think it would be possible until we were mid to late 70s. But I was pleasantly surprised by that strategy paying dividends. Focus energy crits, aerial ace not being able to miss, and double team for evasion is the way forward, and at the meme level, we get the 7th badge. And with that we can go into the Space Center where we have to do the double battle. I spend most of that fight letting Steven do the hard work for me while I try and set up double teams, and to be honest with you, it probably wasn't necessary. This really isn't a challenging fight. And to be honest, neither is the one down in the seafloor cavern with Archie. His team is, although a higher level, it's so lackluster compared to even the one that Maxie had in the volcano. To be honest, we really didn't struggle here. We beat him first time, as I'm sure you've come to expect by now. From there, we all know what happens, Satopolis, Sky Pillar, all of that stuff. But the important thing is, I think I owe Taillow an apology, because at the start of this challenge recording I called it useless and compared it to the Kardashians, and that is an apology I would like to make, because it is so wrong of me to even infer that Taillow is anywhere near as useless as the majority of the members of that family. Taillow is getting the business done to this point, and yeah, I really shouldn't have made that comparison. And nowhere is that more evident than when we take on Juan in the gym, because to be honest, it wasn't even close. We beat him first time. Double team's a cheesy move, and focus energy is overpowered as all hell when you mix it with a move that can never miss. And just like that, we're moving on to Victory Road, where we have to fight Wally, and this was probably the hardest fight since, if I'm being honest, probably Watson. The problem for me was managing how many moves to use and in what order, and that is a point that carries on to some of the Elite Four as well. But talking mainly about this Wally fight, Altaria setting up Dragon Dances is bad for us. Because even when we set up our double teams, it knows Aerial Ace to do damage to us. Sometimes it even switches out into Magneton, and we haven't set up enough that we get hit by one Thunderbolt and we're dead. For the first time here, I actually had to measure how many double teams were worth setting up. To get past his Magneton, I needed to do the balance between evasion and making sure that we get that focus energy set up. Eventually I do, but we are so close to the mark, not for the first time in some of these fights as you've seen, but so close to the mark of failure that it's just a point-blank miracle that we were able to do this. But I hope you've all got your seatbelts on, because this is going to turn into one bumpy ass ride. It's time for the Elite Four, and the first member of which is of course Sydney. Now #Breff's a pleb makes a new appearance here because I'm a huge idiot. I left my HM slaves in the party, which wouldn't ordinarily be a problem, Apart from the fact that I saved the game before Sydney, which is not what I usually do. I save before I go into the Elite Four. And because of this, Mighty Enna's Roar came back to bite me on the arse. I learned after a fair few attempts that I get 4 moves before that Mighty Enna uses Roar. So I set up 2 double teams, I then set up Focus Energy, and I used Aerial Ace. But the next Pokemon that he brings out is Absol, which knows Rock Slide. 2 double teams, and I always seem to get hit by Rock Slide before I could kill the Absol, which meant we went down. And now I know I had the King's Rock, but I still wasn't getting the flinches and it wasn't working for me. So I sat there and said to myself, Breph, you only know one way of doing things, man. Come on, it's time to brute force this thing. I was adamant it wouldn't work. I didn't think it would work at all. The first thing I did was set up Focus Energy, and then I just went to town on his entire team. Turned out, brute force was just the way to go. All of this faffing about with strategy nonsense, it's far beyond me. But brute force was the way forward, and we stepped through the door to fight Phoebe. Now I ain't gonna lie, Phoebe had me bricking it, because she's got pressure as the ability on 2 of her Pokemon, which normally isn't that much of an issue, but when you've only got 1 attacking move on your entire moveset that can do damage to anything in her team, you do have to hope that luck goes your way. Fortunately for me though, I did get that luck, and I was able to just, and I mean just, conserve enough PP to go through and defeat her entire team. However, I would take 100 Phoebe fights over what I had to do with Glacier. She told me she wouldn't let me leave the room unless I put a blindfold on and helped milk a cow for her. But I've never known cow's milk to taste salty. And for some reason she wouldn't stop playing the theme tune to Jim Will Fix It. And it smelled like cigars, and oh my god. Okay. What she really did was be a huge and utter pain in my arse. Her first Celio always sets up Hail, no matter what. And after that, it uses Ice type moves. They all use Ice type moves. Now, can anybody put 2 and 2 together and figure out why Ice type moves against Mah-Dry-Bread would be a bad idea? This was another one of those fights where deciding how many double teams to set up was important, because going for all 6 meant that the 5 turns of Hail would expire, and from my experience, if it sets the Hail up a second time, going forward with the fight we don't really have very much success. Although after many resets, and it was numerous resets, we do get one really successful run where we were able to beat her, but it was just by the skin of our teeth. And in the grand scheme of things, it didn't leave me feeling good, because we had to fight one more member in Drake, and I know he's packing rock type moves. And just as I predicted, the first few fights with Drake went horribly wrong. For a move that doesn't have 100 base accuracy, that Shelgon seemed to find us with those rock tombs. A bit too much for my liking. I mean, even with double teams set up, it's still... oh, it was horrible. And the other thing is, I figured out that if we get hit by 2, just 2, although we can survive with health, we drop below the speed of his Salamence and his Altaria and things like that, and it just... getting hit by 2 was not an option. Getting hit by 1 was bad enough. Other than that, after the most successful bout of setting up the double teams and the focus energy without getting hit by anything, it's just a case of brute force. We were lucky with flinches, we were lucky with crits, and to be honest with you, we were just lucky in general that we were even able to beat him. The champion though, I didn't think was going to be that bad, until I got rinsed over and over and over again by that damn Wailord. While I try and set up double teams, it sets up Rain Dance, it tries to hit us with Blizzard, it tries to hit us with Water Spout, and it's just not fun. For some reason, I seem to get hit more often than I would like. However, that said, all in all, we really didn't struggle once we were able to overcome that. To the point where the rest of our team was essentially not even an issue. We were able to beat the champion, and our Taillow, the useless little bird that I called it, found itself in the Hall of Fame. And I so desperately wish that I could call it game over there, but I've still got levels to go, and I've still got one more trainer to fight. Stephen Bloody Stone, and the balls of steel on this man are comparable only to my own. And he starts off with a Skarmory, which is a problem for me because I'm relying on, you know, Aerial Ace, a not very effective move. And he's packing full restores galore. On top of that, Skarmory also knows Aerial Ace, so our double teams, while we do need to set them up for later down the line, they don't help us out if he decides to do damage with that. He also knows Steel Wing, which hits a little bit harder than I would like, actually. And he knows Toxic. Now, although we've got Guts, Toxic is the worst kind of poisoning. And I know I could have gone into this with a status condition, maybe a burn, I don't know. But all that really does is invite him to hit us with Aerial Ace, which cannot miss. At least Toxic and Steel Wing and Spikes is irrelevant, but at least those two moves, when we start setting up double teams, can miss. And I was packing every advantage I could give myself. King's Rock for flinches, Focus Energy for crits, hoping to get the crit flinch combo. And even when we do get it, Skarmory is tough. Too tough. So tough that the point is, the furthest I was ever able to get, and I only managed it once, and I was sat here for good. I got half an hour's worth of footage with speed up on maximum. I was sat here for half an hour in real time, resetting after resetting, trying, and the furthest I could get was to his Armaldo, but I couldn't kill it, and it killed me. So I bit the bullet, and I cheated a little bit. Yep, again, I don't care. I hacked in some rare candies, I'm not afraid to admit that, and I leveled myself up to max level, and even allowed ourselves to evolve into a Swellow. I thought if we were going to do it, we can do it. We failed the challenge. We can't beat Steven Stone with a Taillow, but maybe we can do it with a Swellow. Alas, no, we cannot. Even when I broke out the save states, I still couldn't do it. And I thought at one point, well, I've already failed, so why don't we just keep going and use the save states and abuse all the mechanics and see if we can't get a good run? And I can't. The best run I got without save states was to his Aggron. And that's when the save states really started coming in, and I realised that not only do we die if we get hit by one Thunder, but we don't have enough PP to be able to beat even the Aggron, let alone the Metagross that is still waiting. Struggle would kill us before we can knock them both out. And unfortunately, I have failed a challenge abysmally, because even at max level, a Swellow cannot beat Steven Stone without using TMs. If we had used TMs, maybe it would be a different story. But yeah, as it turns out, you cannot beat Pokémon Emerald with only a Taillow. I mean, you can beat the League. It's not fun, but you can do it. But you can't beat the post-game fight. And I'm a perfectionist. Something isn't done unless you've done it properly. It was a lot of fun to show off Taillow and what it could do. And I thought it would be a lot more useless than it actually was. Although it was even more fun to be able to show off Swellow, because Swellow is one of my favourite flying type Pokemon. So I'm just glad it got to make an appearance. I hope you all had a lot of fun for this one. Huge thank you to the channel members, especially thanks to Metal Hammer, Spyro and Brace. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, if you would like to support the channel in the same way, maybe even get your name featured at the end of one of these videos as well. There are going to be more of them coming up. I've got a few planned, a few I'm working on. This was just a nice way to dip my toe back into the waters of challenge running. And I figured it would be a really good way to try and get me to fall back in love with making these types of videos for everyone. Quick update time, so if you're not interested, you can leave now. But if you are, the reason why it's been so tough for me to be able to make videos, I know I've done some streams over the last few months, but in terms of actually making the videos, I'm now in the second year of uni. I need to focus. I've been spending a lot more time doing that, and I hope nobody can blame me for that. But on top of it, well, there's been a bit of a development back in my home life. I've had to come back to London for a little bit. My sister is having a baby, and so she's got a flat that she's moving into, so it's a bit all hands on deck at the moment, which is why I've not been able to stream. It's why I've not been able to focus so much on the uploads of the videos. But we're coming to the point, Discord's going mental now, but we're coming to the point where she's about to move in, and after that I'm going to have a lot more time. So hopefully we'll start seeing some more semi-regular uploads from me, including more streams. But yeah, everyone, thank you all so much for watching. Your time is so greatly appreciated. And given the state of the world at the moment, I hope everyone is staying safe. Please do. I know if you're in the UK, we've got this vaccine rollout program coming along, so hopefully things start to return back to slightly more normal-esque day-to-day life, and that would really that would help me put out more videos. But got to keep your fingers crossed. The important thing is that no matter where you are in the world, please do stay safe. And I look forward to seeing all of you, and hopefully some more, in the next one.